are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. It is Thursday, January 10th, and we have another fantastic episode of The Issue here for you today. Playoff episode number 1. So we're getting into the NFL playoffs. Perfect time to drop our merchandise. The big thing that we've been rolling out now for about a month and a half, 2 months, getting everything situated for it. It is here. Go to theissuesports.com. Check out everything we have there in the shop. We're wearing them today. So Tim wearing the Pray for the Parlay shirt. You can get that in a multitude of colors.
I think black, gray, hoodie, and shirt.
Yes.
Oof.
So got options there. And then I'm wearing the Josh Allen Winter Soldier shirt. Gonna carry the Bills through the playoffs. So
Probably.
Hey.
He's Superman, of course, because he's the Winter Soldier.
And if you're part of Bills Mafia, if you're not wearing the shirt, you're just simply not doing the playoffs right. So make sure you go to theissuesports.com. Link can be found everywhere.
Can I get a Danny Dime shirt, you think? I think it might be something we need to talk about.
Yeah. So what's going to go on with these too? So like when you go to the website, you're going to see all the different shirts. Obviously the stuff with the Issue branding on it that you've seen us wear on the show. You'll be able to buy all of our show shirts, hoodies, stuff like that. Some new stuff that we have dropped too. And then we have our graphic shirts. So we have the Josh Allen Winter Soldier one. We have the Pray for the Parlay one. And then we have the Joe Burrow Daddy Joe one with Patrick Mahomes sitting on his shoulders. Fantastic shirt. So, Cincinnati will like that one. So go check those out on the website. But these three will rotate. So they will be somewhat limited edition. Every month to 2 months, we will have new ones that hit the store. But good episode today. So we're going to start out with Tim's rant like we normally do. Aaron Rodgers. Instability in Green Bay. It's kind of been flooding the news the last couple of days. We thought we'd come on, talk about that first, and then we will have hits and misses to finish up the first segment. And then getting into the second segment, we're going to be ranking all of the NFL playoff teams. So going,
1 through 14.
1 through 14.
Why stop at 10 when you got 14
regardless of
left?
seeding, who we think are the best playoff teams. We're putting them in order.
Also, though, that doesn't mean that they're just because you have somebody lower than another team and they play. And that doesn't mean there still can't be an upset. So I know,
right, yes.
I know people are gonna be like, well, you have somebody above somebody, but you have the lower team, the worst team, beating them. And I'm like, okay, but it's called an upset for a reason because I think that the team that lost was still a better team overall, though.
Yes. So. And then we'll be finishing out the second segment with the news like we normally do. And then in the third segment, we will have our predictions for round 1 of the playoffs in the NFL. Will be really good. And then we're going to get into a little bit of a quarterback carousel, some landing spots for some potential big free agents. But one of the biggest free agents is Aaron Rodgers. And I know that you had some thoughts on that coming into this week.
That's the thing. He's barely even a free agent, right? Signed a 3-year contract. Only played through 1 year of it, but the team said, we don't have 1 3-year contract with Aaron. We have 3 1-year contracts with Aaron, right? So, right, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers lost. Obviously, we know that. That's why we're talking about it. That's why it's important. Big brand, superstar. That's why we talk about Aaron a lot. That's why we talk about, Baker to LA. That's a big name to a big city, right? So, talk about big brands, big names, because they're important. But it's interesting, Pat. The Packers once again lost at home as a favorite against a warm or an indoor team, right? So you had Tampa, warm weather team, and San Francisco, and now Detroit. In other playoff games are basically what was a playoff game. That was a win-and-in scenario. That's a playoff game. It's a playoff game. In every industry, right, we value, right? In terms of, is it a real estate, right? Is it a good property? Well, I don't know, but it's got value. It's got value depending on location, depending on, the trend of the market in that area, right? Are you getting a movie theater over here? Are you getting shops, restaurants, right? There's value in every industry. There's a reason that college students generally find jobs pretty easy, right? They're much more cheaper and more efficient labor than, the 59-year-old, 30-year-old veteran in the company who's getting probably double the pay that the new guy is and is probably going to do a slightly less work, right? Because he's probably not as motivated when you've been there for 30 years, right? And you got 5 more years. You're checking your 401k. You're like, I got 5 more years, right? Let's apply the same idea to Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay Packers situation. Now, we don't know how good Jordan Love is. We don't. But I don't think he's a total bust. I think he's shown progress. He's got a plus arm, plus mobility. He's got a Hall of Famer he's been learning from. He's got a nice offensive coach. I think LaFleur's overrated, but he's a nice coach. Right? A really nice O-line, right? So he is probably not a total bust. But I also feel he's probably not a superstar. Right? I don't think he's like a top 10 type of guy. Top 12-ish, probably. Probably, because if he was, I think the Packers probably would have moved off Aaron. Right? Love is cheaper. They gave up draft capital. And let's be honest, I think we all know that the Packers organization would like to not have the thorn of Aaron Rodgers in their side, almost every offseason, right? Like going forward, now their decision is, do we move off Aaron and play Jordan Love, or do we let Aaron hold us hostage for another offseason? Right, so if Jordan Love could play, and if he was a superstar, he would already be playing. So he's somewhere in the middle. He's probably not a bust, probably not a superstar. So what's middle of the league, right? Anywhere from, 12 to 16th in the league is probably what we would consider average quarterbacks. Your Kirk Cousins, your Derek Carrs, your Jared Goffs, right? Let's land on that last one, Jared Goff. The perception is that Goff is not even on the same level as Aaron Rodgers. And now, talent-wise and career-wise, he's probably not, right? Obviously, Aaron, multiple MVP, Super Bowl, right? Not the same player career-wise. But it's interesting you look, right? Aaron versus Goff. For those of you who are watching, the stats are right here. For those listening, right? Both completed about 65%. Goff threw for more per game, had a better touchdown-interception ratio, and a higher pass rating than Aaron. Right? Not even all that close, to be honest with you. Now, again, Aaron's a better talent, better career player. I'm not saying that Goff is this Hall of Fame level guy. That's not what I'm saying. But let's circle back to the value proposition. You don't think with that plus O-line in Green Bay, that run game, that defense on the rise, young, promising wide receivers on the rise, nice, solid cap space to go get another good veteran piece, maybe not outstanding, but a good B-plus veteran piece with some nice cap space if you move on from Aaron. You don't think Jordan Love can at least be close to those Goff numbers statistically? You don't think he could be somewhere between the 12th and 16th best quarterback in the league? With that, he's got the talent to do it. He's got an offensive coach, good roster. He's in the NFC. Right, so you can't tell me won't be somewhere anywhere in between Goff and Aaron with those stats? Right, like, if you're losing to the Lions to fall below 500 on the last day of, or the very last game of the regular season and missing the playoffs, or even losing at home in the playoffs in the first round as the number 1 seed off a bye, can't you do that with Jordan Love? Do you have to, play puppet to this, to Aaron, this superstar quarterback who's kind of prickly and doesn't even show up for offseason stuff and openly goes out and does drugs in the offseason? Look, like, that's fine. Do whatever you want to do, right? But like, do you want to hitch your wagon to that again when you keep getting the same thing? You're telling me you can't just lose in the first round with Jordan Love? Right? All things considered, I think Jordan Love could do that 100%, right? With a cheaper price tag, less headaches. Look, again, all things considered, look at the draft capital given up for Love. You're just going to waste that? Look at the picks you'd be able to get for Aaron to help surround Love. How about the performance of the team? Like, is it not time to move? Does it not feel right to move off from Aaron right now? I would argue yes for all the following reasons I just outlined. I think you can get to the same level you're getting right now, again, for a much cheaper price tag, less headaches. You can go get draft capital for Aaron. You can start to move forward with your franchise. Right? They did that with Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Right? Like, Brett Favre went to an NFC Championship game after he left Green Bay, right? Like, he was on the way to getting washed. He was very much a headache, just like Aaron is now. But you know what Green Bay said? Brett, we love you. You've done a great job. Thank you for everything. We gotta move forward, right? You can't just keep looking in the past, right? Look at Belichick and them. They keep looking in the past. No. You know what? We can win with a defensive coordinator coaching our offense. Okay. Have fun. All right, with a young quarterback, good luck. Right? Again, you have to move forward. So is it not time? You're telling me you can't go 8-9 and lose to the Lions in Week 18 with Jordan Love? I'll tell you you can. I'll tell you 100% you can. It's time to move on from Aaron. Get cheaper, get younger, start a little bit of a reboot. You don't have to completely rebuild. Start a little bit of a reboot if you want any chance of being more than just a first-round disappointment in this league right now.
And has Aaron Rodgers not been the disappointment of the... His middle name has been disappointment for the past, 5 to 10 years? I mean, they haven't been able to muster much in Green Bay. Like, there's a rate in any business, no matter where you get to, what you're talking about, what field, it applies everywhere. Where when it's not working, you got to start to assess. And you have to make decisions of change based on the trends that you're seeing. We've seen a big sample size from Aaron, and he had a lot of talent, but not everybody ages like Tom Brady. Not everybody can play at a 45. So you have to kind of, Tom Brady can't be your standard, right? You can't look at Aaron and say, oh, he has 4 or 5 more years left, because that's not everybody, first of all. So you have to start looking into the future, and you could end up getting caught in a spot where, it just gets really tough to get to that next guy without going through years and years and years of trying to find your next quarterback. And if you hang on to Aaron too long, it's just going to be even bumpier of a path.
It's a tough decision. Packers are going to have to make it. We'll see if Aaron comes back. We'll see if he wants to come back. And if he does want to come back, we'll see if they want him back. But let's get into hits and misses. All right, let's go with hit number 1 here. So we've seen it. Well, we've said it for a while, right? And it was kind of proved this weekend. But the Houston Texans, they're kind of an utter embarrassment of a franchise. Like they're awful. Right now, we expected this. But did we expect it to be this bad? So even in a game they technically probably should have lost to get the number 1 pick, they won. But they're still not, is there anything good about this franchise?
I don't think so. What do you have to build around? That's my first question, right? Like, if you're going to start a full rebuild, you obviously need to, right? You need to completely blow it up, start over. But usually you have, one piece that you'd like to keep and, build around a veteran in the room. And
right.
There's
not even a coach to build around.
There's nothing. No, there's no coach. There's no GM to build around. There's no owner to even... I mean, the owner botched Deshaun Watson's deal so bad that it sent him to Cleveland. Do you know how down bad you have to be to get sent to Cleveland?
To choose to go to Cleveland?
God, I mean, yeah, they had to screw some stuff up, right?
They had to. It's not a good organization. Again, we expected this, and we expected Houston to be really bad. We also expected, I think I actually did a rant saying that Chicago would be the worst team in football, and of course they have the number 1 pick, so...
There you go. There's a hit.
Yeah, good for them, I guess. All right, Mr. Bourne here. So I figured the Chiefs' offense would probably take a small step down after you lose Tyreek Hill, right? We were like, oh, they'd be good. They still have Mahomes, Kelsey. They'll still put up points. They're still one to, to contend for the division, the AFC, maybe even the championship. But more of an 11-6, 10-7. Probably be scrapping. They'll lose a couple games because they won't get the easy touchdown over the top.
Yeah.
They're number 1 in yards and number 1 in scoring.
Yeah, I was a little hesitant to think that the stats would be top of the league still. I knew they would win and I knew they would be fine.
Right.
But the stats are just like they have always been. It's
Mahomes.
He's a trailer. He's a truck, not a trailer. A tractor, not a trailer.
So this is interesting, and we'll talk a little bit about it. But the whole Daniel Jones thing, everyone's talking about, is Daniel Jones a franchise quarterback? I'm not sure. I'm 50-50, but I will say, if you're skeptical, look at what Mahomes has done. If you have to ask, you probably don't have the guy.
Yeah.
Mahomes just wins no matter what. Josh Allen, no matter what. Herbert doesn't matter. Burrow doesn't matter. If you have to ask, Trevor Lawrence overcoming Jacksonville.
Yeah.
If you have to even think about it, is he the guy? Right, so it's interesting.
I'm just not 100% sold on Daniel Jones.
I don't know. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later in the third segment here. So, hit number 2. Partial hit, partial miss here. So we went 2-2 on bets this week. Nice 50-50. So we hit on the Giants and the Bills. Giants hit at plus 14.5, which was a lock. Yep. I mean, look, end of the season, fatigue, resting some starters, injuries. Right, the Giants weren't even starting their top quarterback, and they still came within 6. So
week 18
divisional
is the
games
hardest week to bet, too.
Yeah, divisional games are close. But then, of course, on the flip side, the Bills are that much better than New England. I knew they'd play inspired. Got 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown, so we had them at minus 7.5, something like that.
That opening kickoff return was insane, by the way.
Yeah. And then they lost we lost on the Raiders and the Bucks, and then we pushed on +3 on the Chargers. So 2-1, not bad. But we finished the year slightly above 500, so we'll take it. Not losing. That's a win, I guess. That's a win.
Yes. Yeah, I'll take that. Any day we can at least, make some money for the people that listen. I'm happy. So at least we made you money more this year than we lost you money. Think of it like that.
That's true. Not by much, but barely. That's what's important.
We'll take it to the offseason, watch some film,
Watch some film.
We'll take it, and we'll
get
be
a
back
theater
next
room,
year.
watch some film. All right. So, Miss number 2, generally speaking, right, Super Bowl runner-ups kind of take a step down the following year, and then talented teams that have had a rough year rebound really well. So for the AFC North, right, we thought the Ravens would be more of a force, and to be fair, when they had Lamar, they were ahead. They were at the top of the division. When they had Lamar, they were playing pretty well. But that franchise this year is just weird. I think they've lost their way a little bit with Lamar. He hasn't practiced in a month. I know he's banged up, but not at all. No practice in a month.
It's tough.
He doesn't have an agent, so they're kind of trying to negotiate with just him. It can get weird. Feelings can get hurt. And then for the Bengals, have they gotten better since the Super Bowl? I think so. I think they've gotten better. There was almost no Super Bowl hangover a little bit early in the year, but Joe Burrow had a major surgery 3 weeks before the season, so I don't even worry about that.
It's been impressive how they've been able to turn it around. Yes,
it's crazy.
The Lamar thing is just a huge question mark to me, though.
It's
I
just
have no idea what they're gonna do because they are in such a tight.
That's a tough situation.
No matter what decision you make, it could either end up horrible or fantastic, and the line to walk is. Because if you hold on to him and he gets hurt again and you guarantee him all that money, then you're screwed. If you hold on to him and he has another MVP caliber season, then nice. But if you let go of him and he goes and does the same thing for a different team, then you're like, son of... And then you can't draft a quarterback. Or you draft the next quarterback and he's 10 times better than Lamar, which would be tough to do, but it could happen. And there are so many different variables and things that can go wrong in that situation. I wouldn't want to touch it.
Well, it's what do you do? So... First of all, he doesn't have his own agent, which is really, really weird, and he's kind of become detached from the team a little bit this year. But this is the first year he's done that. In previous years, he's been a really, really good leader. He's gotten better almost every year. He's improved upon his passing almost every year. He wins 75% of his games when he's healthy. How do you make that decision?
It's just...
And he's healthy a lot, too.
And it is weird, the no agent thing. It's just
weird.
It's really tough to negotiate a contract when,
feelings can get hurt really, really quickly. Those contract negotiations, you can love a quarterback, but you're also
you have to point out the flaws.
You have to
look at the imperfections.
That's why there's an agent, because then the agent, okay, takes everything that was said,
sugarcoats it a little bit,
gives the player what they need to know. Hey, look, they like you. They want you to improve a little bit upon this, but overall, really, really nice. This is what they're offering. All this, right?
Instead of the quarterback coach sitting down and being just I just hate what you do here.
Right. Right. And so it's. Yeah, if you're right across from him, you're hey, you get hurt a lot and we can't trust you, that doesn't really feel good. That doesn't feel good.
But the agent could be hey, so what they're thinking is, a little more off-season rehab, right? Take care of the body a little bit more. We're going to send you do this a little bit, not instead of just taking the brunt force of that news.
So it's odd. I'm not sure what to make of that situation. Hit number 3 here. I have finished 11, 6-1.
Whatever.
In predictions. I am that guy. I am
not
him.
That guy.
I'm just saying, look, so here, we got it. Very, very simple log. Luke, Tim, right? We just go down the list, records each week. It feels good, to be honest with you. It does. I gained a 3-game lead in week 7. Didn't look back. Never let it shrink below a 3-game lead. And for that, I'm proud. And it feels good. That's all I'm saying. I already did my victory lap. We already have our Super Bowl thing, which evidently is copyright, but whatever.
Yeah, thanks for that, YouTube. That was fun. But either way, there's not much I can say other than that. It's embarrassing. I hold myself to a higher standard. Right? We were winning last year, a little bit of a hangover. So we're watching film. We're rolling out the cart. We're sitting down. It's going to be a very critical film session.
You got to get the athlete interview responses. Look. It's not what we expect as a team.
It was a hostile environment out there.
We prepare hard all week, and to come out there and put forth that type of performance, it's not our team. It's not up to our standard. It's not up to our standard, and we just got to do the player interview answers.
Hey, we're 1-1 now though, so
1-1.
Somebody will take a lead next year. That'll be good.
All right, Mr. 3 here. We had the Giants as one of the worst teams in the league coming into the year. I figured I like Daniel Jones, but I think he's too far gone. His fumble issue, his interception issue is a real problem. I don't love the offensive line. I think their weapons are underwhelming. Saquon, I can't rely on his health. And outside of the front four, I don't trust anyone on the defense.
It's hard to.
Well, we were wrong. So they're a playoff team, and they actually have some direction with Daniel Jones. And I don't know, call me crazy. We'll talk about it in the third segment. But it's not as easy just to say Minnesota's been a better team all year, they're going to win. It's not that easy. It's going to be a very intriguing matchup.
It's pretty easy.
Like I said, we'll talk later about it. We'll see. We'll see.
We have a differing opinion on this game. We'll get to that.
We will see. But nonetheless, they're a playoff team, and an interesting one at that. Didn't expect it. Good for the Giants. Good for Brian Daboll. Congratulations to them. But that is hits and misses going into super, not just wild card weekend, super wild card weekend.
Which is going to be very fun. No more red zone, though, so that kind of stinks. But
yeah, I'm going to miss Scott Hansen.
No, I'm going to have to wait all the way until September to see that guy next. But we will see you guys in the second segment on the other side of this break. We're going to be ranking all the NFL playoff teams and get you some news.
Second segment. The 12th now, right? Is that right?
The 10th. Or I guess 12th, yes.
No, yeah, this is the 12th.
Yep.
That's a new year, so you get mixed up. The fact that it's already 2023,
insane.
Is it? I don't know if I like it or not.
It's.
I've written it on a couple papers and a couple documents, and it feels weird. I'll say that, but so did 2022.
Making the when we're posting the episodes, going to put the dates in for everything, it feels a little bit weird. Hit 2023. I almost messed up and put 2022 last time, but don't worry, guys. Caught the mistake. Didn't want you guys to think it was a different year that we were recording in,
Fair. If you're just watching this video as opposed to the whole entire length of the episode and you didn't watch the first little part that we had, go check out in our online store. We got the shirts, the Pray for the Parlay, the Winter Soldier, and plenty more. Another graphic, and then we have a couple other logo shirts as well. Get them in hoodies, a couple different colors, so go check it out.
TheIssueSports.com?
Yeah, TheIssueSports.com. You can find it in the link of probably this episode, this video, right?
Every episode, every video. Yep.
That's what I thought. But without further ado, this segment here, we're going to be doing our top 14 NFL teams. You know how we do. We start from 14 and go up. Let's get it going. Okay, 14. Seattle. So I like Geno, but I think he's one of the weaker quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
I think it's one of the weaker offenses. Look, they can run the football a little bit with Kenneth Walker, and that has helped them a lot, but I also don't trust their defense in big spots either, especially when you're looking at their matchup. They have to go on the road to the Niners. That's not a good spot for them. Their offense or defense, right?
Yeah.
In the trenches, they're going to lose. On the edge, they're going to lose. So I don't love the Seahawks going forward. I think they're in a good spot. They got a lot of draft capital. They're pretty young. Mm-hmm. Geno's good. You could either stick with him. You could either look to draft a guy. You could do both. I like them going forward. I think they have good direction as a franchise, but right now they're the weakest playoff team.
I think so too. And when you're the surprise of the playoffs, most of the time you're going to find yourself at the bottom, right? Yeah. Nobody expected Seattle to make it here this year. But nevertheless, they did. They have a pretty good team. They've been able to string some things together, and they've looked good. But as opposed to the rest of this list, you can't even argue me into them being any higher, even 1 to 2 spots higher. You can't.
I guess maybe I could see the argument for this next team, number 13, the Giants. Here's the thing that separates me from the Giants and the Seahawks. I think the Giants have an identity. I think Brian Daboll, his clever offensive scheme, they know what they're going to do. They're going to run the football. Daniel Jones off play action. They're going to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. Their front seven's going to get after your quarterback, and they're going to find ways to win. They're very good situationally with Daboll, which is a mark of a good coach. So I think that's what separates them from Seattle, that situational awareness and their identity. Yep. You know exactly what you're getting from New York. You see it every game they play. You know what to expect from them, and I think that is better than Seattle.
Well, you said it best with Brian Daboll. You have the better coach. When they're more offensively...
Right now.
Yes.
For a career, obviously, Pete, Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowl appearances.
Yeah, but I don't like the defensive Pete right now in this modern NFL where it's leaning more offensive. You've seen what Brian Daboll's been able to do in Buffalo and how he's been able to turn this Giants team around in just one season and kind of make Daniel Jones look competent, right? Because he hasn't looked it for the past however long he's been in New York. So
either Daniel Jones... Do you think either Daniel Jones or Geno Smith win a playoff game? Wouldn't that be crazy?
It would be a story.
It would be a story, and actually,
You're
it's either going to
pulling for
be
one.
Brock Purdy or Geno Smith that wins a playoff game in that matchup.
Who would have thought?
Not me.
Who would have thought?
If you'd have guessed at the beginning of the season, hey, a 7th-round rookie from Iowa State is going to host a playoff game, and Geno Smith, who is a bust for the first 8 years, is going to break the all-time franchise single-season passing record for Seattle and go in the playoffs and maybe win a game.
Insane.
It's insane. All right, number 12 here, the Dolphins. I don't know who their quarterback is. The only reason they're above the other two teams is because I know what I'm getting on the perimeter, right? They have fantastic skill pieces, good offensive line. They got good backs. Well, good offensive line sometimes if they're healthy, and I think they are right now. Defense is pretty average at best.
You got a good coach.
And they match up pretty well against Buffalo. They look, before the snow started, that was a really competitive game.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's supposed to snow. So that's a plus, and they actually beat Buffalo in Miami, so they match up decent, but I just don't know what I'm getting at quarterback.
Yeah. It's always a toss-up with them.
They lack special at quarterback, so I can't have them much higher because almost everybody on this list above is either a better quarterback or has better traits.
Yes, and I think one of the things that pushes them above those bottom two teams is the fact that they have a Mike McDaniel as their head coach.
Right.
Being able to hit you with schemes that you haven't seen and just be so creative offensively, I think provides a ton, especially in the playoffs, because that's when you're going to need it the most.
I agree. All right, let's go with the Ravens at 11. I think the culture is better than Miami. They have more of a history of winning. I think they can run the football more consistently than Miami, which is going to keep you in more playoff games. Since Roquan Smith got there, that's a top 5 defense, so I guess they're gonna limit points. They're gonna get turnovers. They can run the football so they can keep it close in a playoff game. At the end of the day, they don't have the talent on the perimeter and they don't have the talent at quarterback if Lamar's not playing to actually make a run and win a playoff game. But it's a talented roster with a good culture. So the Ravens landed 11 feels kind of right for me.
Yeah, it does. It's a strong team. They're always a strong team. They're always competitive in the late season. So, above an unproven Dolphins team, really, they are very unproven. We've seen a little bit of a spark this year, but other than that, not much. So, yeah, I like the Ravens above them here.
Let's go with the Bucs at 10. Pretty much just Brady here. And
postseason Brady, right?
Right, and their front seven at times is really, really good, getting to the quarterback, stopping the run. So I feel like it's Brady, along with just the fact that everybody on that roster has playoff experience. They're tough. They're a veteran team. Veteran teams tend to kind of take over in the playoffs.
And would it shock you if they made a run? No.
That's exactly it, right? And again, we'll get to predictions next segment, but that's a team that could make noise that you didn't really see coming because it's they're 8-9, offensive has sucked all year, so it's
is it not this is the perfect Tom Brady area right here? He always gets kind of
quiet,
just kind
underdog,
just swept to the corner for a while, and you don't think about the Bucs, and you didn't think about the Patriots when he was there, and then at the end of the season, oh wait, they kind of snuck in, and then they're right there, and then they're just kicking the crap out of everybody in the playoffs. So.
All right, let's go with the Jags at 9 because overall I think they're more talented. And right now, call me crazy, right now Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than Tom Brady.
Statistically speaking, and how he's played the last couple of weeks, that's not crazy to say.
Big, plus arm, mobile, good perimeter piece. Not great, but good. Zay Jones, Christian Kirk are a good pairing. I like Evan Ingram as a tight end. Decent run game. Love Doug Peterson as a head coach. Defense is starting to get a pass rush. The other Josh Allen, edge rusher from Kentucky, when he scored a touchdown on a fumble recovery.
Yeah, that was a nice scoop and score.
Questionable call.
It looked like an incomplete pass, but we'll take it.
Questionable call. We'll take it. I think the Jags on a neutral field right now would beat the Bucs. That's why they're ahead of them.
Yep.
All right, 8. Let's go with the Vikings. It's a better all-around roster than the Jaguars. I like their piece on the perimeter better. I like their running game better. And not that I don't love Kirk Cousins, but he is certainly a very capable NFL quarterback.
Yes.
He's steady. He's not going to make a ton of mistakes. Now, you get him on the road in prime time, different story. But he's hosting a playoff game. Should be okay.
The only thing
should be okay, but their defense is bad. That's why they're not higher.
And that's the weakest offensive line this high up on the list. Right? I mean, they haven't been able to really clear holes for Dalvin Cook. They haven't been able to really pass protect for Kirk Cousins. So it's shaky. And the Vikings are a coin flip, it seems like, every single week. They either come out and they look like a top 2-3 team in the NFC, or they come out and they just play a brand of football where it's wow, I think a middle school team could probably compete right now.
That's fair. That's fair. You're right. It is a coin flip. You don't, but I will say you know exactly what Vikings team you're getting by the first drive.
Yep, it's very evident.
First drive on defense, first drive on offense. You see one series on offense, one series on defense. You know exactly how the game's going to go.
I knew it was over when they couldn't score in 4 attempts from like the 2-yard line against Green Bay.
100%. You knew.
First
you knew
quarter,
that was it.
First drive, it was done for them there.
Yep. All right, number 7, the Cowboys. First of all, I like their run game a lot better than other teams. They have 2 good backs. Their offensive line is good enough. Dak is a B+. Dak's a B+, really solid quarterback. I don't love the picks, but Dak is a grown-up in the room, good, solid quarterback. CeeDee Lamb's a pretty good one. Michael Gallup's an okay 2. I like the pass rush, although they seem like not ready to play something. Like, is it just me, or do they not look ready to play at all in Week 18 against the Commanders?
That's been Dallas football recently.
That's why they're not higher.
Here's their chance to finally get a playoff win for the first time in 25 years against a weaker roster in Tampa Bay, right? So, like, you have your chance now. Dallas, if you lose this one, it's going to look bad for you.
It's going to look bad.
It's going to be really bad. And the lack of playoff experience for Dak is not going to be great matched up against a Tom Brady. In the playoffs,
who gets the blame if they lose?
Dak and Jerry. Yeah.
No McCarthy?
Well, McCarthy.
Who do you think?
If they lose, McCarthy's gone.
You think? I think it's interesting.
He has to be. If you still can't win, they've added so many pieces.
It's interesting.
If they lose,
why
doesn't
Dak get the blame? Does Dak get the blame?
Dak gets the blame. The owner gets the blame, and I'd say the head coach.
Other than that, the head coach gets most? You think McCarthy gets most of it?
He's going to take a lot of it, but I think Dak's going to take a lot.
Who do you think deserves to take the most of it?
Jerry.
You think Jerry?
He's the one that paid Dak. He's the one that overpaid Zeke. He's the one that kind of put them in the cap hell that they're in. That's the reason they're in this spot.
That's a great point.
Like, he put them there. Okay, Don't be surprised if they lose.
So what about just the other two, McCarthy or Dak? Who do you think deserves more blame? If they lose first round, doesn't matter if it's close or humiliating, whatever. However they lose first round.
Look, Dallas couldn't get it done when McCarthy wasn't there. So I'd say Dak.
Thank you.
I'd say Dak.
So first couple years, Dak had a really good run game, was able to throw on 2nd and 4 and 3rd and 1, 13 and 3 rookie year, right? But then it was Jason Garrett's fault. Then it was the defense. Oh, yeah, so first it was the defense's fault, 13 and 3, but the defense was bad. Then it was Jason Garrett can't call plays. Jason Garrett's not creative. Jason Garrett doesn't make Dak work. And now it's, McCarthy's clock management this, McCarthy's clock management that. Well, I'm watching Herbert with Brandon Staley, who is kind of a really bad game manager, and he doesn't seem to have those problems.
I'm watching Burrow with Zach Taylor, an unproven guy, hitch the team to his back and take him to a Super Bowl.
But everybody wants to blame McCarthy, so it's interesting. I would tend to agree. Little segue there. Okay, number 6 here, the Chargers. Again, I love their quarterback. I think he's significantly better than anyone below on this list, except maybe Lawrence. And if Mike Williams is healthy, that's a team that is really, really good, especially on the perimeter. Austin Eckler's a touchdown machine. Keenan Allen's good. And if Mike Williams is healthy, they have their deep threat, jump ball type guy. And at the end of the day, I know their defense is underwhelmed, but in any given game, you have the best edge rusher and maybe one of the best corners, J.C. Jackson.
Yeah. They can,
and you have Derwin James.
They can play good enough. If they can get pressure, take a little bit of, at least for part of the game, half of the game. If you can generate a good pass rush, take some pressure off those DBs and force them into a different scheme and get them playing a brand of football that they're not used to.
Right.
That's going to be it. And then you have Jay Herb. The rest is, you're pretty solid on the offense there.
Let's go with the Eagles at 5. I know people are like, well, why aren't they higher? Well, first of all, they're banged up. Their offensive line's banged up. Jalen Hurts' throwing shoulder, that's a problem, is banged up.
They haven't looked like the same team in the last 2 weeks.
Have not looked like the same team, even with all their starters playing and healthy and back. Well, quote-unquote healthy, still a little bit banged up, I think. They only beat the Giants by 6. So, Giants starting a backup quarterback, mind you. So,
and let's not forget, the Steelers went 11-1. And then we saw what happened.
Last unbeaten team historically loses in the first round the majority of the times. Now, they have the bye, which is good. Hopefully they can get a little healthier. It's not that easy just to be like, best record number 1. That's not the case here.
No, not at all.
Because I think the Bills are a better team and they're at 4 here. I like their quarterback better. I like their weapons better.
Love their quarterback.
Love their quarterback. Love their quarterback.
Winter Soldier.
I like their weapons much better. I think their defense has more top-end talent. No, I think the Eagles' defense is deeper, but I think the Bills has more top-end talent.
Yep.
In big games, I'll tend to go with top-end talent. So I think the Bills at 4 make sense slightly over the Eagles.
Yeah, I'll roll with that too. I mean, you can't talk me out of the Bills being over the Eagles right now.
But number 3, the Bengals. I think they have the most precise, the most accurate, the most calm, the most cool quarterback in the league, Joe Burrow.
And dude is oozing confidence too.
And by the way, go buy the Joe Burrow shirt on our website. But whatever. But like seriously, is there anybody better situationally on third down against a pass rush, throwing out to the numbers, fourth quarter, overtime? There's not. There's not. Joe Burrow, when you need him most, is the best. I don't know if I want to say leader, but I'm going to say leader. The best leader of men on the field in the league right now.
Him and Mahomes are the king of last-second drives.
Couldn't agree more. Bengals at 3 here. I'll have the Niners at 2, slightly above the Bengals, because in the presence of bad weather, a bad game from your quarterback, your defense isn't playing really well, they can still win because their run game can control the time of possession, can control the clock, can control the physicality, the tempo of the game. I think the Bengals can run, but it's not what they do best. So the Niners are slightly better because they can win multiple ways.
I 100% agree.
Number 1, the Chiefs. It's an offensive league. They're number 1 in total yards, number 1 in scoring. Mahomes.
What else?
Patrick Mahomes. That's all you have to say.
Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes. You're pretty much good.
All right, 1 through 14. Chiefs, Niners, Bengals, Bills, Eagles, Chargers, Cowboys, Vikings, Jags, Bucks, Ravens, Dolphins, Giants, Seahawks. There you go. Let's get into some news here going into Super Wildcard Weekend. So in honor of Super Wildcard Weekend, a lot of NFL news today. So let's start actually with something that'll probably end up, actually 100% will end up becoming a story right after the playoffs. Tom Brady to the Raiders is appearing to heat up, according to sources across the league. Look, I'm not sure about the fit. I think it's okay. Familiar system, decent weapons, little Devontae Adams. I don't know. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Brady to the Raiders?
He's got weapons if he goes there, or at least one really solid number 1 receiver, and then you can kind of build around that.
Well, Hunter Renfro's a really good slot.
Yeah, so you have options. It's not like you're devoid of talent, and I mean, Brady in a Vegas just sounds like it makes sense too. He's like
a pretty big brand.
A huge brand. Tom has obviously a huge brand away from football. The TB12 brand is taking off like in all facets of like exercise, nutrition. Yep. So you're gonna want to be around.
It's got the clothing brand, the Tom Brady brand.
Yeah, right. So in Vegas, I think he'll do well. Like just with personal stuff on the field, it confuses me a bit because they are unstable, right? This is a franchise that has just recently moved in the last 10 years, 5 years.
Has not been stable. Bunch of coaches.
There's like a couple of green flags, but also things that make me draw back a little bit when it comes to like the actual organization itself when it goes higher up and higher up. Because we saw like with an unproven coach in Tampa, it hasn't looked good.
So if I'm Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, I am doing everything I can to bring Tom Brady to Las Vegas.
Vegas, it makes sense. They need Brady.
Well, not just from a football standpoint, but Mark Davis is like the poorest owner now by human standards. He is not poor at all.
Oh, no. Yeah,
but out of all 32, he is the poorest NFL owner. Do you know how much money Tom Brady would make you? Like, instantly. It's like the LeBron effect. Like LeBron's gonna increase the franchise value by $1.5 billion as soon as he signs with your team.
Yeah.
Brady is pretty close to that.
I mean, he's right on par.
If anybody's rooting for Brady to pick the Raiders, it's gotta be Mark Davis.
Yes. What that would do to that franchise would be huge. I think it would be
irrelevant.
Monumental.
Makes you irrelevant. Nobody cares. I don't care about them without him. And I like Derek Carr, and I still don't care about the team because they're not good.
Does it not make you think a little bit though that it's not the most stable system, and they've had all the stuff with John Gruden last year, and then getting into the interim, and then a new coach this year. So like, look,
no, I'm not saying it's not, but
it would be the bumpier of the transitions.
Yeah,
I'd say we'll get to it later. But there are a couple options for Brady.
But Josh McDaniels, that's the thing. Yeah. That's why it'd be slightly stable. But either way, next story here. So the Bears locked up the number 1 overall pick. I guess it's kind of a bonus hit because about 2 months ago, we said probably even more than that. No. I mean, how many months was before that? Like 5 months ago, before the season even started, that they were one of the worst teams in football, and it was pretty obvious. But anyway, this now means that the Texans have the number 2 pick. I don't know who lands in Houston, whether it's Bryce Young or whether they ended up going defense. I feel bad for them. But do you think, a lot of people were talking, should they have tanked that last game, that last quarter? Like, they had a 4th and 20, a 4th and 12 that they converted. They finally get a touchdown in the last minute or so. Then they go for 2 for the lead. Like, a lot of people are arguing, well, they did the wrong thing by not tanking. What do you think about it?
Like, I don't know. I mean, you play every game as hard as you can, but, like, you have to have that in the back of your mind that you want that first overall pick. I think it's going to be okay this year, though, because the draft is very, very talented. And you, like, at a number 2 pick, you're still going to get somebody great. So even if you get the second quarterback, I don't mind that.
Yeah, so here's
So what are you
going
to take, C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, basically?
Right, so a lot of people were like, well, they'll still, like Chicago's not going to take a quarterback ahead of them, so, like, they're fine. They're still going to get the number 1 quarterback. They'll get Bryce Young if they want him, who they were probably going to take at 1 anyway, right? Maybe. But there's so many holes in that Chicago roster. The value of number 1 and the chance of them trading down to get more picks, they could trade. This is a loaded class right now.
Yeah,
there's 3 or 4 guys that could go number 1 that would go number 1 in a lot of other years as well.
That's why I don't mind the Texans picking it too.
Well, yeah, but my point is, if they did want Bryce Young, there's a good chance that somebody could trade up, give away a lot of draft capital to go get him. Maybe, say, Seattle from Denver's 3, because you don't have to give up as much to move from 3 to 1.
Yeah.
They have all the picks. They have a lot of draft capital from that trade with Russ. Could they trade up to go get a Bryce Young?
They could.
Because Chicago could then get 2 firsts out of it instead of just 1 first, and you only move back 2 slots.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
it's almost mutually beneficial.
Right, but again, I'm kind of with you, though, with the whole, like, they play hard every game. I don't think they should have tanked. Plus, Lovie Smith had to know he was going to be fired. I'm sorry, if you didn't, you're just not paying attention.
Yeah, so who cares at that point if you're him?
At that point, you're going for the win.
Yeah.
And if anything, that would make me want to go for the win more. Like, screw that organization. I don't care. Like, 'cause he had to have known.
Yeah. I mean,
and if he didn't, you had to at least have an idea.
I mean,
he had to at least have an idea.
GMs are sitting there with their eyes shut at this point in the season. They're looking at, they're projecting, okay, who are we taking? So, they're already they have mock drafts made.
Yeah, and those players, like, that left guard probably does not care about next year, right now, during that game. He wants to beat a division rival. That's about it.
Yeah.
So I don't think you should have tanked, but it is an interesting scenario in terms of draft picks. All right, I think Denver has the 3 or the 4, something like that. Or would have the 3 or 4, so it's Seattle that's going to be up there.
Yeah.
All right, third story here. So Tua, not even cleared for practice ahead of their playoff matchup with Buffalo. I think it was a week 16 concussion.
That's not really good.
Against the Packers. 2 questions. 1, do they stand a chance with no Tua? And 2, do they re-sign Tua? Start with the first one. They
haven't played good without him, really. I mean, they've been decent.
And against playoff teams, they haven't played good with him.
No, so, like, I think either way, the Dolphins are going to be a quick exit.
Yeah.
We've said it. It's not their year. I like the direction they're moving. They're going to need some extra time. And there was a great point brought up a couple days ago now with Lamar to possibly go to Miami. I think that could be good. I think years down the road, we'll be looking at them competing more. I don't know if it really matters at this point.
So I don't think now. So you don't think should they re-sign Tua? Now, second question. I agree with you on the first, by the way.
Maybe one more year. Take it another year, see what you can do. And if he still has the same injury problems, if he still has this, like, he's been relatively lackluster. Like, it's not like he's come out and lit the world on fire and showed everybody in Miami that he deserves a big contract or that he deserves to be one of the top paid.
That's fair.
So, I wouldn't personally.
So, first of all, you don't move off somebody till you know who's going to replace him. That's one thing. So, with a really, really nice free agent market out there and a nice, like, possible trade market.
And you have a very attractive place to come to.
Exactly. If you can upgrade while Tyreek Hill's in his prime, while Jalen Waddle's still cheap labor and hasn't been paid yet, while you have Teron Armstead, who is an aging left tackle, go if you can upgrade to an Aaron Rodgers, do I dare say Derek Carr's an upgrade? I think he is.
He is.
I think he
100%.
is. If you can go get a Tom Brady, if you can go, entice Lamar, or maybe get a trade with the Ravens for a Lamar, I think you have to do it. Now, that's not saying you have to move off to a 100%, because if it's move off to go draft a college guy late in the first round,
I don't like that.
Absolutely not. I don't think that's a good idea. If you can upgrade to a ready to win, really nice veteran quarterback,
proven,
then you do it.
Yes.
All right. So final story here. Mike Tomlin with an interesting little soundbite here, saying that Kenny Pickett isn't, quote, a franchise quarterback quite yet. He said that he doesn't want to saddle the young quarterback with the term franchise quarterback. My question will be, well, what the hell is he? What'd you spend a first-round draft pick on for, right? The name of the game is to draft a guy, support him in any way you can, and see if he can deliver, right? Not tell him that he's not a franchise quarterback. Like, that does not seem like something I would do. Like, what the hell is he then?
This is like...
Is he not?
Yeah. I mean, he has to be. That's what you drafted him to be.
So he's not a franchise quarterback, then he's a bridge quarterback. And who the hell are you bridging to? Back to Mitch? Like, what are we doing here? We bridging to Duck Hodges? Duck, come on back. Like, what are we doing?
I don't know.
He's your franchise. Kenny Two Gloves, the franchise, baby.
Yeah. You would expect the person that you drafted, in the first round, the only quarterback taken in the first round, and
I just don't get it.
You go out and grab him when you had other positions of need, but hey, maybe that's just us. I don't know. This feels like a weird situation. This feels like...
That's weird, but I mean, to be fair, he might just be not trying to put pressure on Kenny, but
I don't.
Like I said, support the guy any way you can, right? Tua with Brian Flores was toxic. You see 1 year with Mike McDaniel, and he's already a better quarterback. Kirk Cousins from Mike Zimmer to Kevin O'Connell.
Why are you still banging on him? I get that statement. I get that statement if you haven't seen him play yet. You draft him, somebody asks that question. We don't know if he's our franchise guy yet.
We draft him, we like some of his things.
We're hopeful that he'll be our franchise 100%. Guy. But after you play a season with him, why are you still ripping him? You're his coach.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. Like a lot of your predictions for Super Wild Card Weekend.
Come on.
Let's go. All right, on the other side of the break here, we'll have our Super Wild Card Weekend predictions. Don't go anywhere.
What's up? We are back in the third segment on Thursday, January 12th. So we got our first week of predictions for the postseason in the NFL, and then we will get into a little bit of a QB carousel. Where are people going to land here in free agency, and there will be a decent amount of movement, I would assume, in this offseason. So kind of get into some of that, but just wanted to remind you guys again, go to theissuesports.com. Check out everything in the shop. You can find it very easily, theissuesports.com/shop, if you wanted to go directly to that. But if you just click the link in the description of the episode, wherever you're watching, listening, or if you find your way onto Instagram, it's also there in the bio, or really anything with our name on it, you can find the link to our website. So go check out all the stuff over there. Quality's amazing, and you're not going to find fan shirts like this, right? You're not going to find a Josh Allen Winter Soldier shirt anywhere else. Where you are going to find it, though, you're going to find it at theissuesports.com. So make sure you head over to there, check everything out, and buy something. We appreciate it. But like I said, we have Super Wild Card Weekend to predict, so let's get going.
All right, let's go Niners Niners hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Interesting. The line is 9.5. For San Francisco, kind of makes sense. They're at home.
Yeah.
Who do you like?
I like San Francisco, and I don't think it's even going to be that close. I like their defense. I don't think it really matters if they have Brock Purdy playing quarterback. It seems like anybody that could fit in that offense. As long as you're smart with the football, you can distribute it, make the right throw. You don't have to do anything crazy with your arm. You don't have to do anything crazy getting out of the pocket, scrambling, keeping plays alive for 30, 45 seconds, and then making a throw like you see Mahomes and Burrow do. Burrow doesn't even do as much, but you know what I mean. You don't have to be spectacular over the top at quarterback. I like San Francisco. They are a powerhouse in the NFC, and there's not really many teams that I could see stopping them. So they're winning the first round.
I am also going to take the Niners here. Look, Brock Purdy is plenty good enough to go ahead and beat Seattle. The offensive line is much better. I mean, at pretty much every level, they're a better football team. I like their coach better, their offensive line, I like their running game, their weapons on the outside, front seven, secondary. They have like an all-pro level player at every level. So, I mean, yeah, the Niners, not as a clear choice here.
Yeah.
All right, Chargers. As a wild card team with a better record going on the road to Jacksonville, who do you like?
The only 50-50 probability game here, I'm going to take the Chargers. Simply because I do not trust the Jags yet to win in the playoffs. I think what they've done this year is huge for them. They've made strides. We've seen Trevor Lawrence be a very good quarterback in the NFL, which are things that they needed to see this year. They needed a real temperature gauge of the team without all the noise in Urban Meyer. They got that. They got to the playoffs. They did well. They won their division. That's exceeding expectations.
Above 500.
I do not see them beating the Chargers, though.
I am going to go with the chosen one. The Prodigals. No, I'm just kidding. I have to go with the Chargers.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I have to go with the Chargers.
If you switch it up and pick the Jags here, man.
No. I'm going to go with the Chargers. So, if you look at the stats, it's kind of interesting. Teams that are like a top 5, they have like a top 5 pick the year before. When they make the playoff the following year, like their record is, I think their winning percentage is like under 20%. Teams that are really, really bad that turn it around and make the playoffs that next year don't necessarily do good because you take steps, right? You're still learning how to win. That's a really, really big spot, especially you're at home in front of your fans. Don't want to disappoint. That's a big spot. I feel like they kind of have the pressure on them, not the Chargers having the pressure on themselves, right? So the Jags have the pressure on them. I'll go with the Chargers. Plus, at this point, I trust Justin Herbert more.
I do, yes.
Slightly, but a little bit more.
I've seen Trevor Lawrence in flashes. I haven't seen a consistency like a J. Herb.
I agree. All right. The Dolphins as a 7 seed travel to the 2-seeded Buffalo Bills. Who do you like?
The Bills. So it's not going to be the Dolphins' year. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I don't see them going anywhere this year. They need to make some changes. I'm not sure if Tua's the guy. So... they have if they can find a veteran, and
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's he just hasn't been able to win against good competition, and you're going to need that if you want to make any sort of a playoff run. So look, I'm going Bills, and plus you can't deny what's in Buffalo. You have Josh Allen, who is literally everything of every piece and part of your team, and that's all you need. Josh Allen's going to lead them through a crazy playoff run, I'm predicting. So Bills.
All right, big one here. NFC, 3-seeded Vikings, hosting the 6-seeded Giants. Who do you like?
Not the Giants.
Huh?
I don't trust them to win at this point. Just because of the instability with Daniel Jones. You never know if he's either gonna fumble 4 times or throw a bunch of interceptions. So it's just. Can you trust him in a playoff game like this? You're taking the Giants. I know you like the Giants here, don't you?
Give me the New York Football Giants, baby. No. Yes, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Brian Dable, the New York Football Giants.
Over the Vikings?
On the road.
Over the Vikings.
On the road.
Over the Vikings.
Over the Vikings. Over the Vikings.
So you're taking Daniel Jones
I am taking
to beat
Daniel Jones.
Kirk Cousins.
100%. 100%. I feel great about it. So look, they met in Minnesota. What was that, week 17 or week 16? Week 16 or 17. It took a 61-yard field goal for the Vikings to beat the Giants. I will take what I perceive right now as a more clever offensive mind. We can argue better coach or whatever. More clever offensive mind with Brian Dable.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I will take a better running game, slightly better running game. I will take a better front seven and a better defense. That travels in the playoffs, and I'll take a more mobile quarterback in a league that is so dependent on quarterback mobility. The New York Football Giants, baby.
The splits are going to be amplified this week. There's 2 of them, and they're going to be amplified. We got 6 games, 2 splits. Come on.
All right, Ravens, the 6 seed? Yeah, 6 seed Ravens, going to the 3-seeded Bengals. Who do you like?
Give me the Bungles and Joe Burrow. Okay,
Joe Burrow.
They're not losing to the division rival Ravens, who are beat up. And
what's the deal with Lamar?
Come on, like you don't know what to expect with Lamar, but I know exactly what to expect with Joe Burrow.
100%.
And even if they're down a touchdown, 10 points with like 2 minutes left, I still like the Bengals just because of what
100%.
Joe Burrow's been able to do late game and especially in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to go Bengals.
Yeah, I agree. I think for all those same reasons as well. Let's go the Cowboys. They are the 5 seed. They travel to the 8-9 under 500 Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay.
They have
Who
a
you
shot.
taking?
I'm taking the Cowboys to get their very first playoff win in the last 25 years. It's going to happen this year. I'm not we know the repercussions. We talked about what the repercussions could be if they lose this one. But I do like the Cowboys roster more than the Bucs. And I think Dak is way more of a physically talented quarterback more than Brady at this point. Obviously, Brady has all the experience and he has the best football mind out of any of the quarterbacks. But I think Dak can do a little bit more to move the pocket, be a little bit more mobile, make the big throws, huge arm. And let's be honest, they have something to play for. Like, we know what's going to happen in Dallas. It's going to be absolute chaos and mayhem if they would lose to this team at this spot. Like, everybody's expecting a win now from Dallas.
Interesting pick. I respect the pick. Might agree with you, but I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's go. Underdogs all the way. Tampa Bay. They're plus 2.5. Love to play at home. Tom Brady. That defense.
Come on.
Against Dak. Tony Pollard. Zeke. They're shutting them down. CD's getting nothing over the top. Defense is going to get humiliated. I will take the Bucs by a touchdown. Mayhem in Dallas.
I think I don't.
Mayhem in Dallas.
I'm not a big Dallas guy. I would not shy away from seeing some mayhem in Dallas, but I just don't think that's going to happen this year.
Give me the Bucs, baby. All right, just to kind of go back through, we'll both take the Niners, we'll both take the Chargers, Bills, and Bengals. We are split. You'll take the Vikings, I'll take the Giants. You're taking the Cowboys. Give me the Bucs. I like the underdogs. You're going all favorites. Bold. I like it. There's always one or two upsets, so that's why I picked my 2 upsets. We'll see how it goes, but those are our predictions for Super Wildcard Weekend. But let's go ahead and shift our focus to kind of the repercussions and what we feel is going to happen after the season and after these NFL playoffs.
Yeah, a lot of moves coming up.
So let's go with a little bit of a quarterback carousel discussion. All right, so a little quarterback carousel game. We're going to take
6 quarterbacks?
So yeah, 5 quarterbacks. So we're going to take five quarterbacks that we think, those are the top 5 free agent quarterbacks, or that we expect to be either free agents or on the market via trades this upcoming offseason. We're going to give the top 2 options. We're going to give the first option. That's where we think they're going to go. We'll discuss maybe a backup plan.
Yeah.
And for one of them, we actually have 3. So let's get right into it. Let's start with Derek Carr. The first option that's pretty clear to me is the Bucs. I think Tom Brady's gone.
Yeah.
Right. I think Tom Brady's going to leave. Probably pursue. We'll get into him later. He is later in the segment here. So Tom leaves again. We'll talk about that when we get there. But they're going to need a quarterback that's ready to win now. That's a veteran roster with some pretty big contracts, right? Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, some offensive line pieces.
It would be really tough to put a rookie in there.
Their defense, right? So I don't think the timeline of the team with a rookie quarterback would fit the timeline of the rest of your roster.
Yeah.
Right? What your timeline is perfect for is a veteran quarterback that gives you a chance to win within the next 2 to 3 years. And I think that you have to go veteran, and I think Derek Carr is a great choice because I don't think it makes much sense to go for like a Jimmy G.
No, it doesn't.
I think he's too similar to a Brady. I don't think you're going to get a Rodgers. I don't think you're going to, go out and make a splash for, trade for Lamar or something like that.
Outside of this year, Derek Carr throws for touchdowns. Okay, he throws for yards.
He's a
really good quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think he'd fit in that Bucs system well. And it's very interesting because you lose Brady, but you gain a Derek Carr in this instance. I don't really think that's much of a step down for Tampa Bay.
I don't think it is, and I think it's a different feel in the locker room too, which you have no idea how the team's going to react, how the team plays with him.
Yeah.
You have no idea how he's going to fit in that system.
And he's a great leader. Like, he has playoff experience. He led that team to a playoff with 0 pieces around him.
100%.
So
I agree. So now a good team to also watch, like a dark horse pick, watch out for the Commanders. I think you're the one that really pushed for this being a possibility because, again, I don't think their timeline fits a full rebuild with a rookie quarterback.
Well, also, just for Derek Carr's own wants and needs, what has he never had? He's never had a defense,
yeah.
And the Commanders have a defense. You said he'd fit well with Ron Rivera. I think he would. It makes sense.
They have receivers to throw to.
They have receivers.
Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, like they had Jahan Dotson, they have the guys.
You draft right for a year or two. You get
100%.
You get a running back.
Fortify the O-line a little bit.
Fortify the O-line. You're fine on pass rush. You don't need to worry about the
maybe
front.
get another secondary piece.
You don't need to worry about the front seven though.
I agree.
It's a great defense. I think that would be a great like number 2 spot.
I agree. All right, next one. Let's go with Jimmy G. So I think for the first and pretty clear one, I think everybody probably has this on their bingo card here, the Jets. The familiarity with Saleh is clear. And then Matt LaFleur, their OC, he's also very, very familiar with, also coming from the Shanahan tree, the brother of Matt LaFleur. So the familiarity there with the OC and the head coach just makes sense. Plus, it's New York. It's big time. That's a harsh really media. Good. Jimmy's a veteran. He could step in. He just feels like New York. Like, I feel like he would fit in New York. You don't have to worry about the media getting to Jimmy G. He's been there. He's done that. That's not a problem for him. Jets at 1 feels right.
Yes. It does. He feels like he would fit into the system well. Like you said, he knows the coaches. And he's a really good quarterback. It's just
what they need is a veteran. That's exactly. They already had the gunslinger.
He has the experience. He's been to a Super Bowl. He'd be the best thing the Jets could ask for. He'd be well and beyond a Zach Wilson.
So that's my point. Like you tried the gunslinger guy. Clearly that didn't work.
Didn't work.
So how about we get a veteran, accurate quarterback that can run your system and distribute the football to really, really underrated skill pieces.
Everybody loves Jimmy G.
Couldn't agree more. Second little spot, though, the Raiders. So we're going to talk later who we think that the number 1 person to go to the Raiders are. But if the Raiders don't get that number 1 option, I feel like Jimmy G would be the next best option, right?
And that's funny.
To what?
Knowing who we have for who gets the gets the spot and who's the backup to the spot.
Maybe we'll do him next. So look, again, familiarity with the system. Josh McDaniels, he was in New England for a number of years. And again, I think Jimmy G makes less mistakes than Derek Carr. I think he brings the temperature in the room down a little bit. Everyone's kind of, all upset. Derek Carr's been trying to get run out of Las Vegas. So they've been trying to run Derek Carr out of Las Vegas for ever. Out of that organization forever. Yeah. And so I think Jimmy G brings the temperature in the room down a little bit, familiarity of the system. That's kind of the prototype quarterback that McDaniels is looking for, so it fits on both sides of the coin there.
I like that.
So let's skip to the last one here then. Tom Brady. I think the number 1 choice is the Raiders. So a lot of people are saying Niners. That's the second choice we have. Let me explain to you why the Raiders are number 1 and what we expect.
This was debated over, yeah.
Right, this is what our guess is to where they go, not like the best fit per se. Because I don't think the Niners' job is necessarily open. People were talking, if you have a chance to get Brady, he's 46 years old. You have 2 really nice young quarterbacks. Trey Lance with the talent and Brock Purdy with the ability to run the offense with insane efficiency. You have 2 really, really nice young quarterbacks that you're not paying anything to, so you can keep a loaded roster around them. Why would you go out and spend for a guy like Brady when you don't have to?
You don't need to.
In a weak NFC, you don't have to have Brady. And is he that much better right now? I mean, that's the line of scrimmage, leadership, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Is he that much statistically better? Yes. Is he going to produce that much more?
No, I don't think so.
Exactly. So I don't think the Niners' job is necessarily open. That's why it's not number 1, because clearly that's the best fit.
Yeah.
He's from there, best roster, best coach, right? That all makes sense. But the Raiders is number 1 for him because that would be his second choice, and I think the only one of his top couple choices that's going to be open.
Now, can I play devil's advocate for a second?
For sure.
For the Raiders. He went to the NFC to escape the AFC quarterbacks. So going to the Raiders, then he's competing in division twice a year with Mahomes, twice a year with Herbert, and twice a year with Russ. So there will be 2 old quarterbacks.
And Russ will be better. Russ, there's no way he could be as bad as he was last year.
Right. But you welcome yourself right back into the AFC. And you're going to be playing Burrow.
It's interesting. I feel like the
You're
great
gonna
ones
see-
don't think about that as much, though.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It's interesting.
If it was a factor for him to leave New England to go down
Do we know
and
it
be in
was?
Tampa Bay, I think it could have been. I mean, because he
Also,
retires.
at the time, though, Stafford was... Well, I guess Stafford wasn't going there at the time. That's a good point.
I don't know. It's something to look at. I do like the Raiders, though. I think it makes a lot of sense.
All right, little dark horse pick number 3 here, the Dolphins. If they choose to move off Tua, which we don't know if they are, I think they're about 50-50 on it. In my head, that's probably where they're at right now.
Tom would fit there, too.
I think he would fit there. Again, doesn't have to move very far. Just going to Miami. Still warm, aqua water, right? You're chilling. Also get the 2 fastest players on the planet who are really good yards after the catch. We know Tom likes to throw short, let his receivers run, so it's an interesting fit.
And he gets to go back to Gillette quite a few times.
Exactly, and also, if he does like the enticing idea of a Shanahan offense, boom, Mike McDaniel is probably the best disciple from that, as of right now, from a scheme standpoint.
And Mike McDaniel seems like the guy who would be able to take the hands off and let Brady kind of do his thing too.
Right.
Coach him, still do what he can, but at the same time you have to respect who you're coaching.
Right.
So I think Dolphins would fit.
All right, we got 2 more here real quick. Let's go Daniel Jones. Number 1, I think he stays with the Giants. I think they actually re-signed Daniel Jones. I think he fits what they want to do for now. And look, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen don't grow on trees. If you have a quarterback that fits in your system, look, we can sit here and argue all day.
Try to make it work.
But where are they? Are they going to go upgrade? Are they going to get a Derek Carr? Because if so, then we could talk. If they can go get a Derek Carr, then we'll talk. But I think you're probably going to be able to get relatively cheap labor with Daniel Jones, so they're probably going to re-sign him. That's my guess. Right or wrong, that's the guess, and I think that's probably what's going to happen. A little dark horse number 2, Atlanta. Maybe because Daniel's not good enough to go out and get one of those top spots, like an Oakland or Vegas. Sorry, like a Vegas,
or
like
a Miami,
like a San Fran if it would open up, like a Miami if it opens up. He's not good enough to go get that job, but he can get a low end bridge like a Falcons or a Panthers, maybe something like that. So, all right, last one here. Aaron Rodgers, where's he ending up? Much like Daniel Jones, he'll sign with the Packers, or I guess just
stays in Green Bay.
Continue playing out the contract that he signed. Look, I have no evidence to tell me that Aaron Rodgers is going to play this game where he talks about retirement and then actually go through with it, or talk about, well, we don't know what's in the cards here in my future in Green Bay, and then actually go through with it. He talks about it every offseason, and he always ends up coming back with the Packers, and by week 6, he's like, happy to be here, best decision I've ever made. So I don't think he leaves. I don't think he's got the guts to do it. I don't think he does.
He'll be back on the Pat McAfee show talking about being at Lambeau.
I don't think he's got the guts to do it. But if he does have the guts to waive his no trade clause, the Titans, I think, is the best option. I think that's a good number 2 option. Look, so in the trade, I don't know if you'd have to give up Derrick Henry or not, but either way, I would advise them to release Derrick Henry and use that cap space to go get him more weapons.
Yeah.
But they have a young wide receiver on the rise. Offensive line's improving. Defense is pretty good. You got a good coach, good culture. Because there's not a lot of good teams that are going to trade for him.
No.
Like really, really top-end playoff teams.
Because we haven't seen him age
Because
yet.
if you look at all the top-end playoff teams, they have young quarterbacks. The Chiefs, Bills,
Yeah.
Bengals, they have top-end young talent. They're not going to go trade for A-Rod.
And they shouldn't.
Titans, though, that makes sense to me. But, no, that's all we have for the show today, guys. Again, thank you for listening. We have the shirts.
Yeah.
Go check out the link and the website.
Running the deal now, too.
Running a deal. Go get the coupon. Subscribe to the newsletter. There's coupons in there. Seriously, go check it out, guys. We appreciate you listening. Go ahead and do the honors.
That was the issue.